So again, like I'm gonna do whatever I can with my infant here playing on the floor, whatever she'll allow me to do. She has me on a short leash, so I'm basically a hostage here. But the Jesus in the Bible versus Jesus in Islam, like these are two different Jesuses. These are not the same Jesus. I don't care what they say. This is not the same Jesus. And the Jesus in the Bible, I think, is so much cooler. The Jesus in the Bible was psychic. He said, go into this city, and then there's going to be a guy carrying a pitcher. Go up to him and prepare the Passover in the upper room. So he was psychic. You get a lot more depth to the Jesus in Christianity than you do from Jesus in Islam. It's like, tell me a story about Jesus in Islam, and there's really nothing. There's no substance. There's no real storyline there. It's just like, well, he didn't do anything. He went to heaven, and he's coming back to tell us that Muhammad is the prophet. And it's like, wow, that's really not exciting. Where Jesus in the Bible, he already knew that Judas was going to betray him before it happens, and he says, Judas is going to betray me. It's the guy here dipping the sop with me. That's the one that's going to betray me, is what, he said at the Passover meal. And then he said that he's going to shed his blood for many. Why would Jesus be shedding his blood for many? Like, doesn't even make sense when Muslims look at this. Like, what do these scriptures even mean if it doesn't mean that he's going to die to save the lost people? Why is he shedding his blood for many? Why would he say that? And Jesus said that they're going to smite the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. So what does that mean? And they can't tell you in Islam. They just have to ignore this stuff or just not really read the Bible. So, but if I had to pick, Muslims are supposed to accept the Bible and the Quran. So if I had to pick between the two and I was like, which one am I going to read today? It would be the Bible 100%. If I had to read one or the other, because the Quran, like I said, is so boring. And I'm flighty. I'm sanguine. I just can't do the Quran. It's so boring. And then Jesus tells Peter to watch and pray. And he says the spirit is ready, but the flesh is weak. And so Jesus had something to say to each of his disciples. He knew them as his friends. He knew them inside and out. And when Peter said, I'm going to be with you, I'll go to death too with you, Jesus said, no, you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows. So Jesus knew his disciples, his friends, inside and out. Where in Islam, Jesus doesn't even have disciples. He's not even talking to anyone. There's just no depth to their Jesus. And then the Muslims try to tell us that Jesus never died. He wasn't crucified at all. And that Judas died in his place. But I don't understand how there could be, several chapters at the end of all of the Gospels where it says that Jesus was going to die. There's probably 8 different books, basically, or 8 different chapters when you go through each of the 4 Gospels and put it together. There's probably 8 different chapters talking about Jesus dying on the cross. So I don't know how they can just overlook all that and say, no, Judas died in his place. That doesn't even make sense. So they have to be just not reading the Bible at all. So that's what I would challenge the Muslims, is to at least read the book of Mark, which isn't really that difficult. It's not even that long. And then try to read the book of John. And then see if you still believe in Islam after that. Basically, if you read Isaiah 53, it also confirms that the crucifixion is going to happen and that Jesus is going to die for the sins of mankind. And like I said, the Jesus in Islam, he is just a failure. He didn't do anything, and then he's just there to concede and say, I was wrong, and actually Muhammad's the real prophet, and everything Muhammad says is right. Where it's just so odd, because Jesus gave us marriage between a man and a woman, just one man and one woman, and he talked about how a man should, love his wife and not lust after other women. Then Muhammad comes on the scene and says, no, it's polygamy, and it's not a problem to lust after other women. In fact, go ahead and do it. And if you lived in Dearborn, then you would notice, every corner there's a strip club, because it's just normal for the Muslim men to believe that they can lust after other women and look for other wives. So these marriages are just so toxic, and I've helped a few different Muslim women kind of walk through, like, how do you get divorced from this toxic guy? And really, at the heart of it, the reason the guy is so toxic is because what he believes. And this is what Muhammad gave him, that you don't have to be faithful to your wife. Lusting after other women isn't a problem. And the funny part is that if the shoe was on the other foot, they couldn't tolerate it even for a minute. If their wife did what they did, and their wife went to like Chippendale dancers, they would not tolerate it for even a minute. But that's what they're expecting their wife to deal with. And that's what Muhammad, said that they should do. So, and then Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, and even love your enemy. Where then Muhammad comes and undoes that and says, kill the polytheist and commit acts of jihad. So these are two different conflicting messages. Jesus gives you a message of love and a message of fidelity, faithfulness. And then Muhammad comes and gives you a message of hatred, murder, lust, adultery, polygamy. Total opposite. So why is Jesus giving you a higher message of love and faithfulness, and then Muhammad's coming and changing it to this message of hatred and polygamy? So it just doesn't make sense.